In a dramatic turn of events, Donald J. Trump is set to return as the President of the United States of America. While counting is still ongoing, leads project that Trump will win a landslide 312 seats compared to Kamala Harris's 226, overshadowing his own historic 2016 victory. So, what does Trump 2.0 mean for India? To put it frankly, Donald Trump has been the best friend that India has had in the White House. His first tenure from 2016 to 2020 saw the height of Indo-US bilateral ties. There was a personal bonhomie between Modi and Trump that clearly reflected in the India-US partnership. India was designated a MNNA, or Major Non-NATO Ally, paving the way for greater cooperation between India and US. This saw the revitalization of Quad, a grouping of India, US, Japan, and Australia to counter China's presence in the Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean. The non-NATO ally status also helped India procure key defense equipment like the Apache and Chinook helicopters, M777 howitzers, P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, and C-17 transport planes. This peak in India-US ties was best seen in the Namaste Trump event in India and the Howdy Modi rally in the United States. Both the leaders were received with rapturous applause in both the respective events. Towards the end of his first tenure, Trump and Modi collaborated on two key issues: counter-terrorism and COVID-19. Following the Balakot attack, Trump affirmed India's right to self-defense, which was a significant shift away from conventional US policy towards India and Pakistan. Come the COVID-19 pandemic, both countries collaborated on vaccine research and pharmaceutical exports. India was a major exporter of hydroxychloroquine, which Trump promoted early in the pandemic. This cooperation extended to vaccine development, including partnerships between Indian and US companies like Moderna and Bharat Biotech. Come January 2021, however, Trump left office having lost the 2020 US elections. Needless to say, Indo-US ties immediately took a downward turn. The US categorically refused to lift a ban on the export of crucial raw materials that India needed for making vaccines. The following 2 years saw anti-CAA riots, anti-farm law protests, both of which were seen as attempts by foreign powers to interfere in India's internal affairs. The last 4 years under Biden have seen regular lecturing by the United States on freedom of press, freedom of religion, democracy index, and now an all-out proxy war with the West, where the United States is firing at India from Canada's shoulders using the propped-up issue of Khalistani separatism. Individuals like Pannoon are given safe haven in the US, despite making terror threats aimed at Indian civilians. The developments in Bangladesh are also seen as US interference in India's neighborhood to prop up an anti-India and anti-China US puppet in the region. In sharp contrast, President-elect Donald Trump was the only US leader to voice concern over the developments in Bangladesh and the plight of the Bangladeshi Hindu community. It must be stated that even the revocation of Article 370 would have seen considerable pushback from the United States if Trump was not in power. After its revocation in 2019, former Vice President Kamala Harris, who was then in opposition, was stated saying, "We have to remind Kashmiris that they are not alone. The Modi government must go. To even an ordinary layman, it is clear as day who has the best of Indian interests at heart." A Trump 2.0 administration holds plenty of promise for India. For starters, we will be more focused on external issues like geopolitics rather than internal ones like foreign intervention and regime change. The India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC, has been shelved almost immediately after it was announced. Why? because since October 7, 2023, the Middle East has been engulfed in a war between Israel and Iran, plus Iran-backed proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Houthis in Yemen. Peace in the Middle East is key to IMEC becoming a reality. This is where Trump comes in. Arguably, the biggest success of his tenure were the Abraham Accords, a historic peace treaty that was meant to bring Israel and the Arab world closer together, recognizing each other's sovereignty and opening up avenues of diplomacy, trade, and collaboration. The Abraham Accords have been put on pause since the escalations of October 7, 2023, and Trump may help revive the historic deal that will bring peace to the Middle East. Contrary to his predecessors, Trump is a China hawk and not a Russia hawk, meaning he finds China to be a bigger threat to US interests than Russia. This is good for India in two ways. Since the Ukraine war began in 2022, India's ties to Russia and refusal to condemn them have created tensions with the West. However, Trump also has ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin, which means he's more likely to engage Russia and less likely to punish India for its unique relationship with Russia. Instead, Trump will most likely shift focus back on China and keep them busy in the South China Sea, hopefully forcing China to double down on disengagement with India on its western front of Arunachal and Ladakh, and instead focus on its eastern front of Taiwan and the South China Sea. Trump's bonhomie still continues. He recently praised Modi as a total killer on a podcast, and Modi was one of the first world leaders to speak to Trump following his election win. While there are concerns of a return of trade wars, tariff diplomacy, and some hurdles in visa procurement, it is clear that there is no end to opportunities in cooperation with a Trump-led United States if the Modi government plays its cards right. The possibilities are endless as we step into the dawn of a brave new world.